All right, y'all. It is Saturday at 1 p.m., 66 degrees in Kitsap County. I hope that you are all doing well. Got to give y'all an announcement here. All right. We are not going to have our show today. The Rev is not feeling well. He is under the weather. But I did want to come on and just talk for a little bit. The main thing I wanted to do was extend our prayers and well wishes to Pastor Ellington, as he is always doing for others in that way. So we want to pray for him, that he will have a speedy recovery and will return in his true form as soon as possible. So, yes, we will not have our regularly scheduled show of the No Cap Recap for those of you that might be just checking it out because you're like, what is this? Pastor Reverend Ellington from New Horizon Ministries. They have their service on Saturdays at 11 a.m. And then what happens? Hey, how you doing there, Rev? How you doing there, Rob? Then what happens is he and I have a show where we talk about his sermon, and I kind of come from it from the worldly end of it, and just try to hopefully give folks a way to apply, what they are hearing into their lives and improve their lives. So, so more well wishes coming out, uh, from Rob and Stephanie. So yeah, get well soon, Rev. As such, there is a fair going on tomorrow. So I do want to share that with everyone. Since it is centered around health, tomorrow is the Mount Zion NBC and Hope NPBC. They're presenting the Healthcare Fair of 2022. So you can join them, Kitsap Public Health, and many other community resources for informational health boosts, COVID testing and vaccines, blood pressure testing, and a lot more. That will take place tomorrow, Sunday, at 1 p.m. Should go from about 1 to 3 p.m. And they're going to meet at Mount Zion Fellowship Hall, 1906 13th Street in Bremerton, 98337. So if you know where Bremerton High School is, they're just a few blocks away. Oh, light refreshments will be provided. And as you can see, if you are looking to get vaccinated for you or your kids, they will have the Pfizer there, 5 to 11, and also 12 and above. And they'll also have the Moderna, ages 12 and above. They'll have those self-tests, as I said before, high-quality masks, and information about local public health programs. There's no charge for vaccination, and you don't even need insurance. It will be available to everyone, regardless of citizenship or immigration status. But minors do need to have the consent from a parent or a guardian to be vaccinated. Children younger than 16 must be accompanied by an adult. If you have any questions, you can give a call at 360-728-2219, or you can email covidvaccine@kitsappublichealth.org. So I felt like that was kind of appropriate, right now. Rev, I wanted to maybe talk about a little something. I don't know if you've got a verse in mind that you maybe prayed about today. You want to just type that in the chat, and I'll just talk about that verse and try to give the audience a little something for today to move them on into their weekend. Yesterday was a really long day for me. We had a fantastic show yesterday about social housing. Man, that thing already has more than 40 views. There was only 20 when that show ended last night. So the word is getting out, and that's just on YouTube. So I appreciate all the new viewers. As you see at the bottom of the screen, go ahead, subscribe, like, share. Make sure you hit that bell to get an alert when we go live. YouTube.com/C/The Conduit. Yeah, go ahead and subscribe and share that out so you never miss a show. Because we have some scheduled shows, but we go live a lot of times uh, impromptuly. Is that a word? Impromptuly. Uh, and so, you never want to miss out on a show because there's good stuff in there. Good stuff in there. We had a good show and met with our consultant for G2, Erica, who is in South America right now. So we give her our prayers and well wishes too while she does her work. Um, Man, and we are in the final stages of securing our Medicaid, Medicare ability to provide transportation and bill through that. So stay tuned. Mm. We've been working on that for a while, and it looks like we're in the end game now. Ooh, Colossians 3:1 and 2. So let me go ahead and look that up there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Go ahead and type that in. I'm gonna have to cheat a little bit. Some of these words, if you're not reading the Bible often, I was like, how do you spell that? How do you say that? There's a lot of interesting words in the Bible. Who? How to say that? I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up here so we can have a conversation, which I think will be helpful there. And I'm just getting there quickly. I'll go ahead and put that on the screen so you can see me doing the work at the same time. All right, so I just type in the verse in the Google search, and then I'm just going to go over here and change so that we can use the, when it acts right, it's acting like it doesn't want to do the drop down for me. Let me go ahead and refresh that so we can get where we need to get here. Anyhow, I got to say, I'm pleased it is not 85, 90 degrees out. It's nice and 67, much cooler. I don't mind the sun, but I don't like it when it's just beating down on you. I don't care for that at all. Let me turn that off. You guys don't want to see that crazy white screen like that. All right. Well, maybe their site is down right now, so I will go to a different one since they don't want to cooperate. All right. So we're using the Christian Standard Bible. And once we do that, I'll pull that on back up. Here we go. I just need to open it up in a new tab, and it came right up. All right, so Colossians 3:1 and 2. So if you have been raised with Christ, seek the things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. All right, so let me go ahead and put that here in the chat for our discussion here. And so what we do is, usually, we have service and I will listen to the word. There are sometimes when I can't and, I'm super busy and stuff is going on. So I end up showing up right during showtime. And so I don't have the benefit of the word and the Rev's intention. But ultimately, my part in this is to see how I can take from this and apply it to my life, whether you're a Christian or not. And I think that's helpful. So, what does this mean to me? All right. So, if you've been raised with Christ, seek the things above where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Okay. Now, what I'll say is, I'm going to split these verses into two different things, right? The part that I just read is, things that we're putting above, right? Things that delayed gratification is another way that I kind of interpret those first two, that first verse there, right? So if you were raised in Christ, seek things above, right? So, what is believed is your reward is in heaven. So, when you die, you will get your reward of salvation. And so, salvation doesn't come today, right? Or you don't make it to heaven until you die. So, that's later, right? And so, that's delayed gratification. You are doing work today. Um, yeah, and hey, BK, and that's what I was saying, right? For me, I look at books as resources, right? And whether you're seeking Christ, whether you're in Christ, um, or just looking for some help, for professional personal development, I think the Bible is a great place to start. And who knows, you might end up getting to know the Lord in that. Um, but no, you do not need to be a Christian to get benefit out of the Bible. And so, as I was saying, so if you were, that is delayed gratification, right? So, Christians believe that you need to walk in the world, walk in the Word, and live by Jesus' teachings, right? And you will be rewarded in heaven. And so that is applicable to all that we do. Whether you're going to college, that's going to take years for you to complete your certificate or degree. you know, Whether you're working on a job and you're trying to work toward a raise or to a different position, these are things that you're going to have to be steadfast and work consistently toward to reach your end goal, right? It's not instantaneous. It's not you drive to McDonald's and you put your order in and you're eating your fries before you even drive away, right? So that's how I look at the first verse is all right, you know, delayed gratification. How can I use this in my life? Many of us are not where we want to be, and to no fault of our own. I actually hate that phrase, by the way, when politicians use that. It's almost like saying, well, you know what, if you made a bad decision, then you deserve what you got. But we want to help the people who, to no fault of their own. I actually hate that phrase. Uh, but I will use it from time to time. But when I do, I'll tell you that I hate it. But, whatever your situation is that you're trying to get out of, it's not typically immediate. It's going to take time for you to get out of that, right? I use weight as one, right? So I didn't put on all this weight overnight. This took years of practice and perfection. I'm still working on my perfection. Um, but it took years to do that. And so it's not going to come off immediately, right? There are things that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to exercise. I'm going to have to eat well. I'm going to have to get sleep. I'm going to have to hydrate and drink water. I'm going to have to maybe change how I do things. It could be a lifestyle change. If I like to uh, sit in front of the computer all day because I'm a workaholic, I may need to, set a timer, get up and stretch, or do some calisthenics or some exercises, and then go back to it. I may need to shift my meetings and my schedule so I can go and take a walk, right? And I will see these changes over time, not immediate, right? Sometimes when you're starting on a new diet or new exercise, you might actually gain a little weight before you start losing. And so that's how I interpret this first piece. The second piece, set your mind on things above and not on earthly things. It goes with that piece, right? So the way I'm looking at this is two ways. So I can take the first part, set your minds on things above, and push that to the very first side, but not on the earthly things. The way that I look at this is again, are you focused on your mission? Is what you're doing right now serving your mission? So if it's weight, am I drinking water or am I drinking a soda? You know, am I having a cup of coffee loaded with caffeine, even though it's bad for my heart, and full of coffee creamer, which is a bunch of empty calories? Daily battle between spirit and flesh. Lord Jesus, help me. I am. Yeah. Um, but not on the earthly things. And so there are so many things to take us away from our goals. And we know that it doesn't take a whole lot to grab our attention. And the next thing you know, we're down this rabbit hole and it's been days or weeks and we have to start over, right? And then we got to kind of go through this cycle. We might beat up on ourselves and feel guilty because we made a bad choice. And then we stayed in that bad choice for a while before we said, okay, I've had enough. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to try again, right? And so that is how I interpret the, not focusing on those earthly things. So whatever those distractions are in your life, you need to try to either remove them or try to minimize them, right? Uh, the saying "all things in moderation" is a pretty fair one. Now, there are some things that are definitely bad that you shouldn't consume even in moderation, but most things in moderation, right? You need to take care of yourself. You need to have self care. You need to take a break, right? Um, but you have to be diligent. You have to be diligent. And being diligent means checking in and seeing how it is that you're doing. A lot of times we'll work on things. We'll say we're taking a break, we're in the middle of a relationship. And it's like, oh, I'm working on myself. And I use this a lot, right? I ask folks, well, so what exactly are you doing to work on yourself? What does that work look like? I go, oh, I'm just taking a break. I'm just learning how to love myself. Okay. So what are you doing to learn how to love yourself? Well, I'm just taking a break. I'm just not focused on someone else. Like, oh, that really doesn't sound like you're actually doing something, right? You're not, seeking counseling. You're not um, working through where you were wrong and where you messed up, right? You're not looking at what are the things that you're attracted to and how those things might be bad for you and how, we seem to choose, ice cream and pizza and we don't choose broccoli and cauliflower. But those are the things that are good for us, right? We like that. We like the bad boy, you know. You like that. You like that hot girl summer. So, you can get off track because you're focused on the wrong things. And so while you may be taking this break, it's like, what exactly are you doing? And I'll see folks that are take breaks for long periods of time, months, years, and they're struggling alone. And, it's frustrating for them. That's not really what they want, but they haven't actively been working on themselves. That's the same thing with the weight example, right? So sometimes folks will say, well, you know what? I'll just start to not eat out as much, or I'll decrease my coffee intake. Uh, there's so much information scholarly out there to improve ourselves. We have to seek it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I hope sometimes, in maybe seeking something else, people will find things in unexpected places, right? But what exactly are you doing? Are you journaling? Do you have an app on your phone for when you walk and how long you walk? How many calories you're burning? That is when someone asks you, well, what are you doing? And you can say, well, I'm doing this, 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 and this. How's that working out for you? All right, well, I've made these gains. This hasn't worked out too well here, so I'm going to try this next week and try to implement that. I'm not going to do it all at the same time. I'm going to start one thing and then I'll just keep building on it because sometimes we like to, just put a bunch of wood on a fire and douse the fire instead of putting in a few logs at a time and keeping that, growing the fire slowly. So when we want to make changes in our lives, oftentimes we're fed up and we're ready for this change. And it's like, we're just going to go, full bore into this change. And we end up hurting ourselves, right? I've done that several times. Like, all right, I haven't been in the gym in like a year and a half. I'm getting to the gym. And, man, I used to be able to do 5 miles and I used to lift this kind of weight, do all this. So I'm going to try to start back off where I was. And then I end up injuring myself and then I have to stop. And now I've just lost all my momentum because I have to heal now, right? And then in that midst of healing, well, I've settled back into my bad habits. So 3 weeks turns into another 6 months, or another month, month and a half. So that's how those things can go. The Rev says, not everything from above need be delayed type deal. Every good, perfect gift is from above. Yeah, absolutely. Now you're getting deep, Rev. You know, and we were talking a little bit about that last week and the week before, right? Uh, how when you are, well, we talk about our conversations about faith, right? And faith without work is dead. But as you are working, if you are faithful, right, you are rewarded while you're here. And we were having this conversation. The Rev was gone. He had to step out and take a phone call during our last show. And I was talking about, the fact that, the Rev has health issues and most of the people in his family have health issues. But he is one of the most calm, collected and happy people that I know. And most folks that have those trials in their lives are, woes me, why me, it's not fair. There's complaining all the time, right? And it's understandable, but you don't have to live that way. And the Rev doesn't. And so he is a very bright person, a very happy person, a very optimistic person. And for me, listening to what he's put here with James 1:17 is just that, right? That is the reward. He reminds me of my dad in that regard, right? I spoke about, his amputations through his diabetes and all the pain that he was going through, but how he was faithful the entire time and just kept praising God and was always um, just happy and encouraging, right? He would always give God the glory, and it's like, wow, man, you're in such pain, and there were some times when he didn't have a lot of support, even though he lived a life of service, so he constantly was supporting others, and when he was really in need, those folks weren't there for him, the way that he was there for thousands, literally thousands of other people. And, when you're looking in at it on the other side, it makes you angry. It's like, man, my father, sacrificed, you know, time with us, attention with us to serve, you know, um, God. And in that, that meant being a steward of other people. And so, you could feel some kind of way about that, especially when, it's like, hey, dad needs help right now. And you're looking around like, well, where are all these people that, dad was helping? They not here. But he didn't worry about that. He didn't worry about that. And there's a joy and a peace uh, that folks like the Rev and my father have that other folks don't have when they go through things. And I'll say similarly, but oftentimes people are going through things that don't even compare, right? It's not even close. And these folks are just spun out of control. And it's like, I don't understand why you're so wound up, why you're so unhappy, why you're so um, discontent, right? What is giving you so much angst, anxiety, anger, uh, unrest within you, right? And so I look at that, and it's a thing where I'm definitely in the middle, right? I can sit in some stuff that I shouldn't sit in, emotionally, uh, but I am a lot further along than a lot of folks. I'm not the Rev or my father by no stretch of the imagination, right? I don't lean on my faith to that regard, you know, to where it's like, I'm gonna give God the glory. I'm gonna give it to God. I'm just gonna keep praising Him and go forward, and that's what it is. And people will say that, but they're still internally going through this fight, right? With the Rev and with my dad, I think that's an earnest statement, right? They give it to God, and it's gone, right? They can go on and help other people, and when they pray, when you hear folks pray in the church, like, Lord, put this person aside and let your words come through, uh, then that actually can really happen, right? Because if you're in this heightened state of emotion, it's a lot harder for you to let go and let God, right? Because it's all about you at that point in time and you're feeling in your emotion. So yeah, the Rev, I definitely agree with that. Not everything above need to be delayed, for sure. I think those things can definitely help you and give you some peace in that. And again, this can be looked at as self care. I mean, you probably won't hear about that in a college setting, right? There's breathing exercises and meditation and yoga, but they may not say, you know what, you can lean on spirituality and get into the Bible and think about those things and apply those things and find some peace and grace also in that. And again, if you don't believe, if you're agnostic or atheist, again, I think this resource can still be a benefit to you because what it's doing is just saying, hey, let's kind of put things in its place. Some things we can uh, compartmentalize. We don't have to take it all on and burden ourselves. We can, drop some of these things off and slowly pick up and sort through these things a little bit at a time. And as long as we're intentional and proactive about it and we're checking in, we will start to get through these things. So when they say this too shall pass, it will pass because of one, time, but two, because you're doing something, right? And again, folks have different levels of grief, of course, right? And people are going to grieve differently, but there are losses that people have in their lives, their parents, God forbid, their children. Uh, and, some folks are devastated for years, for decades. They never get over it. Uh, and then others, I'll use my dad. My dad decided he was called to teach in the inner cities in DC. And that's as crazy as it sounds, understand. So I got into a U-Haul truck with him and drove 3,000 miles from Washington State to DC. And as soon as we were pulling into DC, we got a phone call that my 24-year-old brother at the time had passed away from sickle cell. And so that meant we had to get on a plane and fly all the way back. And uh, we got home, pulled into the driveway, uh, and I can't remember now if the hearse was already there uh, or if it came after. I just remember the black hearse being in the driveway and my brother being in the back because my dad needed to identify him, and it was crazy. And so here he is in the midst of moving cross country to take a job and having to fly back because his son passed while he's on the road. And so now, and he's a principal, so he needs to open up a school. But now he also has to bury and eulogize his son. Uh, and that whole time, you know, and he was a person, he would cry. My dad didn't believe in, you don't cry. It's not a man if you don't cry. But he did what he had to do. And he was able to support the emotions of others, right? Definitely my sisters, my sisters, Renita and Jamie, that was a blood brother and cousin for them. Or for me, it was an adopted brother, but we all grew up together. We're all Camerons. But he was able to walk through that and not break down and not be able to function. Right? He still had to do what he had to do, and these were all things that only he could do. Right? Um, and he still did it, and still gave God the glory, and still was able to uh, be thankful and move through faith. And he created a program and made all the arrangements and uh, eulogized my brother and did everything he had to do, and then flew back to DC and opened up his school and started being a principal over in DC. And for a lot of folks, that would have been it. It's done. I'm not going to take the job in DC. I'm going to move back home. I've lost my son. Um, I can't function, and I've broken down. And again, I'm not saying how someone should grieve. What I'm saying is that he had tools that helped him to move through that. And if you haven't dealt with death yet, it can be a very hard and traumatic thing. And it is true, right? You shouldn't have to bury your children for sure. But again, so that's what I mean by not needing to necessarily be a Christian in order to get benefits from the Bible by reading that and applying some of the teachings or the teachings that are that are in the Word and apply them to you in different ways. And so I hope that you find that helpful. Let me go ahead and flash that back up there. And the Rev is like, it was right. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button and hit that like, subscribe for sure. Share it out and hit your reminder for when I go live. So again, this is Colossians 3, 1 and 2. So if you've been raised with Christ, seek the things above where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on the things above, not on earthly things. Not on earthly things. You know, one of the other things that I try to do is I stay really busy. And for those that know me very well, you know that I have a back issue, and it's pretty bad. You know, so I get surgery pretty often. So I'm constantly in a lot of pain. And there are times when it is so bad that all you can think about is the pain, right? That's all I can think about is bad. Just I'm trying to focus on something. I'm trying to concentrate on something else, but it's just there. It's just hitting so hard. And so that's one of the reasons why I stay busy, because it helps take my mind off of it. You know, I need to have purpose, you know, have direction, be working on, because if I'm just sitting here, then I can feel it. You know, as soon as I, you know, kind of let my guard down, I can feel that ache and that pound and that pain, right? And it hurts more than other times. Uh, but keeping busy really helps. Uh, and so I found that to be something that I can use to get a lot of things done in my life, and also to help other people. You know, I would say that I'm a servant leader, and in that, uh, you know, there's a lot that needs to be done, and you know, I kind of feel like I'm that guy, right? I want to be that guy. I want to try to make people's lives better in different ways. You know, in the ways that I know, in the ways that I can't foresee. You know, the conduit is such a way. You know, when I created this, it was to, you know, stay in contact with our volunteers and folks that we work with because of COVID, and now it's kind of turned into this really different thing, which is awesome. And now it's reaching out to more and providing information and giving folks a voice and all these other opportunities, and you know, meeting more people and other like-minded folks that want to work on housing or food insecurity or salvation or whatever the case may be. Job training, mentorship, uh, work with our children. I mean, there's so many. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and I couldn't have foreseen that that's what it would have become, right? Uh, and that's awesome. But that comes about because a lot of things. But one in this regard is, you know, I don't want to focus on how I physically feel, right? I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on something else. And so if I can keep my mind on something else, then that works, right? There's a song that says, "My mind staying on Jesus." And so, you know, hallelujah, hallelujah. As long as you're staying on Jesus, as long as you're focused on that, one, your attention isn't going to be diverted into things that aren't helpful for you, things that are not going to serve your life or serve your family. Uh, if it's not Jesus, you know, if you're focused on something else, then you're focused on your goal, whether it's school, whether it's education, whether it's trying to get your health better, some kind of personal thing that you're trying to achieve, then that can be very helpful and powerful also. So I encourage you to, you know, look into this great resource here. It's chock full of a lot of good things. It's one of the oldest texts, and yes, it has been changed a lot over time. We are using the Christian Standard Bible, and if you look up here, you'll see. I thought this was fascinating, right? And this may not even be all the versions here, but there's a lot of different interpretations of the Bible here. Look at all these different interpretations. However, at its core, it's still saying uh, the same things. So, very, very fascinating when you think about that. Very fascinating. So, I'm not going to hold y'all. I do miss my partner today. As I said, Rev, I hope that you get well soon, and hopefully you will be back next Saturday, Lord willing. But whatever he has in store for us, we're going to continue to push on and be faithful and get the work done, because that's what he calls us to do. So hopefully you're getting your work done. We'll be back tomorrow. Well, you'll see me tomorrow at the health fair. I'll be there at 1 o'clock. And then we got a great show for you at 3 p.m. Our city council meeting, the Civic Second. Hopefully you will join us. Rebecca Parsons, who is running for state representative, will be our guest in the top of the hour. And in the bottom of the hour, we'll be talking about MLK downtown Bremerton. Not different interpretations, but translations. Okay, translations. Thank you. Thank you for that. See, that's you're the holy man. You know, I'm just trying to make sure I don't have holes in my socks. You know what I mean? All right. All right, y'all. Until next time, for the Rev, I'm Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit. This is the No Cap.